What is going on in New York and New Jersey? Chris Onorato, Ashley Miller. It's Onorato and Miller. Of course, we're all over the Aaron Rodgers news. Yeah, I know it's 4 days, 3 days later, whatever. It's still a big deal. We're going to talk a lot about how it impacts the Jets season this year, but also whether or not we think Rodgers is really ready for this type of rehab, recovery, and relaunch at what will be the age of 40. 20 years younger than that, we've got a star in New York who's going to be sidelined for a long time, talking about the Yankees center fielder Jasson Dominguez. We've got our Week 2 NFL picks coming up. And when we talk about those injuries, we need a little expertise. And so, Ash, who we're bringing on the show?
Well, certainly not us.
No.
We're not the experts. We're going to bring on the doctor, Dr. Flik.
Dr. Kyle Flik from OrthoNY Dr joins us as well this week. And we'll talk about some baseball playoff stuff here. We're 2 weeks away from the postseason, and one team has clinched.
This is Onorato and Miller, sponsored by Alpenhaus.
Shout out to our people at Alpenhaus. Big grand reopening happening in Amsterdam very soon. We'll be there for that. Andy Heck, Katie Osborne doing big things. Not rebrand, just kind of like rebuilt, right? It's reloading, right? The sports reference is always, you're not rebuilding, you're reloading. And that's what Alpenhaus does. They reload. They're not rebuilding anything. Can the Jets and these great doctors rebuild Aaron Rodgers' left Achilles to be able to allow the guy at what will then be 40 years old to play, not just play again, but to play productively again, right? To play at a Pro Bowl and maybe even fringe MVP level. I really thought he was going to have a huge year this year for the Jets. The number of touchdowns at Vegas was 27.5 for the season. I said, absolutely hammer the over. He didn't even throw a pass in his career, right? 4 snaps. Didn't even get to throw a ball for the New York Jets. Was under pressure the 2 times he did drop back. And the 1 time that ended his season was that popped Achilles. I couldn't believe what I was watching. Just a quick little recap here of us watching home on Monday night. Could not believe what I was watching. Initially, I thought high ankle sprain, and I still can't believe what I'm watching, that he gets hurt so early on and he might miss a few weeks. Well, it's the whole season now. Yeah. And as my brother texted me, who is a diehard Jets fan, this bleeping team. And I said, you're right, Kev. I don't know. You can't put it any like it. There's just something about this franchise, apparently, that is not going to allow its fans to enjoy any little bit of success. They have the longest playoff drought in the 4 major North American sports. The Kings have been in.
I was going to say
the longest playoff drought since Mark Sanchez took them to back-to-back AFC championship games. Pretty unbelievable.
It felt like, and I've said this, it felt like you were in the Twilight Zone. Like we were living in some other dimension, and you saw him get up at first, and then he sat down, and the way he put his hands on his legs, you kind of thought, well, he knows something that we don't know.
Well, here's the thing. If it's a sprained ankle,
you walk off.
He's still standing.
Yeah, and you walk off and you limp off, whatever. Yeah. He did not do that.
No.
And then when he had 2 people under his shoulders, I thought, well, this is not good. And then I woke up in the middle of the night and saw the slow motion replay of his calf, Achilles rippling up his calf, and I was like, oh, you.
Let's get this one out of the way first, because it's always the annoying crowd here. I don't know that we called the Jets a New York team, did we?
Well, listen, no offense, but their name is the New York Jets. So if we refer to them as the New York Jets, it's just what they are.
And
you did reference Jersey.
Hands up, Jersey native.
Jersey.
But we don't have to be like annoying about it, right? Like, we know they play in New Jersey, correct? So the New Jersey team beat the New York team, by the way.
Angry Bills fan.
Yeah, that's a bad loss for Buffalo. Josh Allen.
Not good.
Josh Allen looked lost. 3 picks, a fumble. He in his career has always been a turnover machine, but he played way too loose. Jordan Whitehead with 3 interceptions. Not good. We'll do roll call here now. We got the one that obligatory. There's only one team in New York. Sam's watching. Good evening, Sam.
Chris is in a foul way today.
I am.
Look out.
Yep. Carol's watching. Yep. We're going to ask the question, and Ash threw it up here, that, who should the Jets add to the roster at the quarterback position? The Rock Man is already kind of weighing in on that. So I'm good with that. And he's making a bold prediction here. The Jets are going to beat the Cowboys. Jets-Cowboys is one of our games this week in our pick'em.
The Jets better score 4 touchdowns on defense.
John Conwin, our graphics guy who makes this show look good. Just want to let everyone know I'm doing okay. I'm doing better. I've come to terms with a Zach Wilson-led offense. We'll see.
Well, you shouldn't.
Yeah.
You should want better than that.
Yeah. And Sam says maybe this is really the shot here for Wilson. See if he's worthy of the pick. He was able to kind of study, if you will, under Aaron Rodgers for 6 months. Let's see if he's grown up and if any of that has rubbed off on Zach Wilson. Okay, realistic expectations this season for the Jets without Rodgers. What?
With Zach
Can this
Wilson,
team still make
good.
the playoffs?
I think they can.
Okay, well, that's pretty good.
Yeah, I think they can. I'm not saying they will. I think they can. Listen, that defense is tremendous. Josh Allen turned the ball over 4 times, and they couldn't score points on offense.
Yep.
It was almost like they were trying not to win that game. They needed 3 picks from Jordan Whitehead. They needed a special teams punt return for a touchdown to walk it off. So,
Yep.
I get it. Jets fans should be excited because you won the game with Zach Wilson at quarterback. I don't think anyone expected that. As soon as Rodgers went down, it was kind of like, all right, well, we're good. The Bills are going to win. But I just don't think that's going to carry them. They have to go get somebody who's at least going to.
So you're
give
advocating
Zach Wilson
to
a shot.
sign somebody who takes over the job.
Yeah, you give Zach Wilson a shot, but you got to put somebody behind him that isn't who's their third backup.
Well, Tim Boyle was the guy, and he was the guy in Green Bay as well.
You can't make the playoffs with Tim Boyle or Zach Wilson.
Ooh. Okay.
That's my prediction.
Okay.
But I don't know who you get. Who do you get?
John says he wasn't happy. He's not happy about it. Here's the Rockman's pick for that. I don't know. I would ask you, who would you get? Who do you want to see the Jets sign? Rockman says Colt McCoy.
Not awful. I mean, I'm not sure how much better he is than Tim Boyle or Zach Wilson, but he's been one of the better backups in the league.
Carson Wentz is out there.
Carson Wentz is out
Probably
there.
not going to make a trade for anybody like Mariota.
Right. And that's what I was
thinking. The
thinking.
Niners aren't going to trade Sam Darnold. That's not happening.
Right. Yeah. And that was my thought, was like a guy like Mariota who maybe someone would be willing to give up.
I just don't see the Jets giving up draft capital, even a 7th round pick. Like, I just don't see it happening for them.
But if you think you're a potential, and I don't know that they're still going to say they're a Super Bowl team because they don't have Aaron Rodgers. So I guess they're not going to say they're a Super Bowl team. But if you think you're a playoff team, a potential playoff team, you give up some draft capital.
Old guys are Matt Ryan and Phillip Rivers.
Well, Matt Ryan's in the broadcast booth.
Somebody wrote a stupid article about Jets aren't interested in signing Colin Kaepernick. Oh, really? They don't want a guy who's been out of the league for 4 or 5 years? Shocking. Give me a break. It doesn't even make sense to try to bring somebody. Eli Manning said it yesterday on the Pat McAfee show. No, you roll with Zach Wilson.
Yeah,
it's too late in the game, and it's only week 2 to bring somebody in, learn the offense, and have them be successful quickly enough where you're going to win games, but compete in games offensively. So,
who are some Nathaniel Hackett disciples who he could bring in and probably because he's probably using all the same stuff?
Carol says Nick Foles. Gardner Minshew is a guy whose name has been thrown around as well. Colt McCoy is fine if your plan is we just want a solid veteran backup, and Boyle's not the guy. Okay, fine. But I just think
I think they're going to ride
approach
with
should be Zach Wilson starts every game the rest of this year, no matter what.
And I think maybe that happens. And if that happens, they're not going to win more than 6 games.
Oh, they won 7 last year.
They're not going to win more than 6.
But Mike White was pretty good. Rockman said Tom Brady. Wouldn't that be something? Tom Brady.
It was the first name that came out of somebody's mouth. I forget who it was, but oh yeah, Tom Brady. Don't put it past him.
Expectations, realistic expectations now for the individual. Aaron Rodgers. He'll be 40 years old in early December. Mentally, right? It's probably difficult enough at that age to say he's never had a major injury like this. He missed time with a collarbone in Green Bay. He had some concussion stuff going on in Green Bay where he did miss chunks of time, but nothing like this, where at 40, it's now going to affect his wheels. Yep. Maybe you're saying, here's the bright side. We'll ask Dr. Kyle Flik this. Like, it's not his right ankle. So it's not the one that he's got to drop back, plant, and push off and throw on. How much does that matter? I don't know. But I think mentally the challenge is like, okay, I've got to go through X number of months of rehab to be ready to try to come back and play again. That he has to do the, I was listening to Dan Orlovsky say he's got to get the surgery and he's got to do the rehab anyway because the man wants to walk. So that's one thing. But then does the man decide he still wants to play football? Yes, I think he'll be motivated to play again. It's just whether or not
can he.
Is there a setback that then just says to him, this may not be worth it?
Yeah, this is, to me, I think you're better off, and we can ask Dr. Flik, you're better off tearing your ACL because I just think like the Achilles feels like one of the
how long
ugliest.
did it take Kevin Durant to come back to where he like not only felt ready to play, but then looked ready to play? And
it's amazing, and he's a whole lot younger. It's amazing that he has played at the level that he has played at. I just think at 40, like 40's not old for anyone out there. 40's old for an NFL quarterback. 40's old. It might as well be 70 in real life. 40's old. So the Achilles, it's such an ugly injury. The scar is ugly. The rehab is ugly. It's all so ugly. And I just, I don't have high expectations that he will be Gardner Minshew.
Yeah.
I don't have no problem with that. And if you think Wilson's your guy, then you let him ride, and Gardner's just there to be the backup.
Yeah. All right. Quickly here before we take a time out, we'll look back at week one and some of the things that stood out to us. We'll give our week two picks as well. But I do just quickly tonight, Eagles, Vikings. We do the show live on a Thursday. If you're watching us on TV on Saturday or Sunday, you already know the result of the game. Philly 6.5 point favorite. That over-under number keeps creeping below 50. I saw 48.5. A lot of injuries on both sides. Who do you like?
I'll take Philly.
To cover?
No, but I was going to say I might take the Vikes to cover the spread, but I'll take Philly to win.
Okay. Interesting.
What about you?
I think I like Philly to win, cover with the under. Feels
you speak a lot better betting language.
Feels like Minnesota is going to have a hard time scoring. And I think, and we know how bad that Minnesota defense was last year. They lose to Tampa Bay at home to start the year. It feels like an under for me, that short week, injuries. But the Eagles find a way to win and cover, I think. Yeah. Okay. Let's take a quick time out here on Onorato and Company. Dr. Kyle Flik still to come in about 10 minutes or so. We're talking about the Rodgers injury, but also I want his opinion on, position player with a UCL tear in baseball. And how that will, we saw this happen with Shohei Ohtani, right? Is it going to happen again? We saw Bryce Harper get the Tommy John surgery. He's limited in terms of where he can play in the field. How will Dominguez be limited? That one for me is curious. And J.K. Dobbins' injury, right? He had the knee 2 years ago. Now the Achilles at 24 years old, running back. I mean, the running backs get old quickly. We know that at like 28, people are saying you're already out of your prime. J.K. Dobbins' career kind of hanging on here a little bit. We're back right after this.
September is here, which means it's time to take advantage of huge savings on remaining 2023 RVs. It's our September sell-off here at Alpenhaus. Shop with confidence so you can get back to having fun and making memories with family and friends. Come in today and save on America's top brands, like this Coachman Catalina for $162 a month, or this Primetime Avenger for $258 a month. Shop online at alpenhausrv.com or come see us in Amsterdam or Saratoga. Alpenhaus, your total camping outfitter.
At Marcella's Appliance Center, our commitment is to you, providing essential appliances that families depend on for cooking, refrigeration, cleaning, and sanitation, plus appliance repair. You can have peace of mind that Marcella's is here for you today and every day, like we have been since 1957, helping you make the right choice with trusted brands like Whirlpool, Maytag, KitchenAid, and many more. Shop Marcella's Appliance Center in-store, online, or by phone. We're here for you. And now, back to Onorato and Miller. Sponsored by House.
Two picks still to come here on Onorato and Miller. We'll look back at week one. And as a matter of fact, why don't we just do that right now? How did week one go? Some surprises. And this league just never ceases to surprise, right? The Browns blow out the Bengals. Weather was
not good.
Classic Cleveland weather. Bucks win at Minnesota, team that won a division last year. Rams go to Seattle, a playoff team a year ago. No Cooper Kupp. Aaron Donald looks reborn. And they win. So one of those three or one off the board. Which one are you taking? Biggest surprise in week one? Maybe a team that lost and not won.
Well, for me, the Bengals are bad. It looked bad. And that was the biggest surprise, I think, just how lethargic and incapable they looked against a Cleveland team that I didn't really expect much of. I think the biggest question mark for me was Deshaun Watson. Is he going to be the guy that they paid him to be? Yeah. But just how bad the Bengals looked in that game, I don't think it's an issue. I don't think it's a lingering thing. I think the Bengals will be fine. But for me, the way that Cowboys-Giants went was the big one for me. I mean, I watched a quarter of that and was like, peace out. I'll see you later. This is not worth my time.
Didn't enough of it feel fluky, blocked field goal return for a touchdown, pick six?
But then the offense got completely stagnant and couldn't do anything. I mean, the Dallas defense looked great. And I just think that score to get beat 40-0 by a division rival on opening night at home, that was tough for me. And so if you're a Giants fan, I'm a Giants fan. If you're a Giants fan, I think you need to be a little worried.
About this,
I think you gotta be
Victor
worried.
says the Kansas City loss is a bad one.
Nah, I don't think it's bad. Was it a field goal?
21-20, right?
Not even a field goal.
21-20.
Not even a field goal to a team that a ton of people
picked to make the playoffs.
To make the playoffs, win the division, go deep in the playoffs. So I think they'll be just fine. The Kansas City Chiefs are one of those teams that they got Andy Reid and Patrick Mahomes. They've got a chance in any game.
For me, it's the Rams. No Cooper Kupp. Yeah. I had written that game off. Seattle was healthy, ready to go, looked absolutely inept. Good for Matthew Stafford and the Rams to bounce the way they did.
Because all the talk was just about he's got nobody.
Yeah.
And he doesn't know any of his players and they're all young and no Cooper Kupp. And I think it was surprising. Maybe they even surprised themselves. But I love that kind of stuff when somebody comes in. Week one is so weird. Week one last year was bizarre.
Yeah.
And then week two.
Not enough guys play in the preseason that the month of September is basically the preseason.
But generally, my week one picks were so bad last year. And then the pendulum swung back week two. And then I was like, I don't know who to pick. I'm so confused.
Burrow is 1-5 against the Browns or something like that. Bizarre. And by the way, road teams last week were 12-4 against the spread. But Burrow has struggled historically against Cleveland. So that and the score, you throw that one out. That's not who Cleveland is or who Cincinnati is. Yeah, of course, it comes on the heels of Burrow getting the largest deal in NFL history. Tua Tagovailoa, unbelievable. When he's healthy, he's terrific in this offense with Mike McDaniel and Tyreek Hill and Jalen Waddle. 466, 3 touchdowns and interception, and a great back and forth fun game out in LA. When Tua is healthy, the Dolphins have a chance to win the Super Bowl, not just the division, the Super Bowl. And I picked Miami to win the division.
That's why you think they have a chance to win.
You put this one in here. Great Jordan Love's first start for Packers post. B plus, maybe a B.
Yeah,
B or B plus.
B sounds about right.
Yeah, efficient.
Didn't light the world on fire. I mean, his completion percentage wasn't good, but did enough to get the win.
They ran the ball well. He made
without
the throws
Christian
he needed to make.
Watson.
He was phenomenal on third down. I know we're talking about the overall completion percentage, but he hit his first 9 completions on third down to convert first downs. He was terrific on third down. That's the money down, they say, Ash. The money down. You don't care. Yeah, the money. I know. That's a
Manziel.
I know, a thing that is not popular anymore because
I know.
Talk about flaming out a little bit. Yeah. All right. All right. The doctor is in. Dr. Kyle Flik is going to join us here after the next commercial break to talk about the injury to Aaron Rodgers, the recovery time, Jasson Dominguez, the UCL tear in his right elbow, J.K. Dobbins, and Max Scherzer. Max Scherzer. This one kind of came out of nowhere for me. Texas was trending in the right direction. They still are. On Thursday night, as we do the show live, Rangers have won 5 straight.
And a strained major something.
They're right here.
I read the word and I was like, I don't even know where that is in your body.
It's his shoulder, right?
Yeah, it is.
Okay.
It is,
Just say shoulder. It's like there's so many things medically that bother me now to go on a rant here. You know, the contusion is popular now. It's a very popular thing, the contusion. And there's another one that just makes me crazy too. And it's like, okay, it's a bruise and it's let's just simplify the terms here. We make them sound a lot worse than they are. And it's really not that bad, right?
The bad ones, they're pretty straightforward. Torn, blank.
Right. You tore something or you broke something.
Yeah.
All right. We're back right after this. Dr. Kyle Flik from OrthoNY Dr.
Teams, athletes, organizations. We're transforming the custom apparel industry through products and purpose. Claim your crown.
You've heard of unsung heroes. The men and women of Nyskoba are the unseen heroes. For the past year, you've learned about our many charitable endeavors. Now it is my privilege to share with you the work performed by our members, the 20,000 state correction and law enforcement officers shielded from view. They work in difficult and dangerous conditions and are an extension of the police who protect our neighborhoods. Nyskoba honors New York's police and firefighters and salutes its own members who help deliver a peaceful night's sleep.
And now, back to Onorato and Miller. Sponsored by Alphen House.
A shout out to all of our local business partners, Saratoga Eagle, Performance Industrial, That Dirty Difficult Done, Still to Come, Nyskoba, Marcella's, and of course, our guys over at Novice. Our week 1 picks, here they were. I hit on Philadelphia, Miami, and the Jets. Ash hit on San Francisco, Philadelphia, and Miami. Pittsburgh could not have looked worse, and neither could the Giants. So my 2 were as bad as they could have possibly gotten. Home teams that were favorites just did not perform on any sort of level. Pretty ugly.
Yeah, we ended up with the same record.
Yeah, 3-2.
Funny
so
how
the week
that
2
happens.
picks are coming up here in
I'll
a
take
little
3
bit.
and 2 every week.
But let's get the diagnosis, the recovery, and the expertise that we need here medically on the show. Dr. Kyle Flik from OrthoNY Dr joins us here. Kyle, it's good to see you, man. How many degrees or diplomas do you have on the wall behind you there? Oh, wait a minute. We might have you mute. I think you've got yourself muted there.
You got to unlock your mute.
Yeah. You're all right. There you go.
Good. I'm going to slide this way because I'm embarrassed.
No. I want to see it. See, I can do this too. How many are up there?
So, yeah, there are just some couple of them up there, but they're in my home. I don't put them up in the office.
Yeah.
He's a doctor. He's got a lot of them.
I'm not being critical. I'm being curious. I have barely a high school and college degree.
Chris, they give you a diploma for everything as you go through medicine. You finish this, you get one. So it's really not, it's not that impressive. But it's great to be here. Great to be here with you guys.
Are you saying being a doctor is like playing Little League now, where everybody gets a trophy, everybody gets a degree? What is that?
Everybody gets one.
That's not true.
And then Chris, it's only when your mom decides to frame them that you have to put them up.
I love that. Thank you for jumping on the show, man. Let's get to it here with Aaron Rodgers. We talked about at the beginning of the show. The comeback from an Achilles is daunting enough. To have to do it at what will be age 40 in early December, how much of a factor does that play?
Yeah. So I looked some statistics up for you. Just overall in the NFL in the last decade, about 25% of players that have injured their Achilles have not returned. Okay, so that's all comers. I think you mentioned that it's his leg that he's not pushing off on when he's throwing. So for his style of a quarterback, I think there is a chance for him, even though, as you pointed out, he's going to be 40, which is super old. But, for some of the younger quarterbacks with the running style, quarterbacks that can run and throw, they would have trouble coming back from this. I think he's such a good arm that I would give him a chance.
Okay.
But I don't think, if I were a team, I wouldn't be putting all my, cards in, I wouldn't guarantee that. So he has a lot of work. I know he's motivated, obviously I wouldn't put it past him, but he won't have, it won't be easy for him. It's definitely 9 months of recovery. He should be ready for next year if he wants to do it.
Dr. Flik, I read an interesting article that said that there's an old adage in medicine, I don't know if this is true or not, that bones heal more reliably than ligaments and muscular tissue, whatever that is. Why is that?
Well, all right. So let's talk about why are people tearing their Achilles, or and even goes for ulnar collateral ligament elbow injuries. Why are people in these sports tearing their ligaments and their tendons? What are the reasons, and why might it be better to fracture a bone, right? So the main thing about the Achilles is that there's a lot of force that goes through that relatively small, thin tendon, right? It's both of your calf muscle, gastroc, medial and lateral sides, and the soleus muscle are in the back, and they come together in this long tendon that attaches to your heel. And there's an area that we call it the watershed area, or an area where there's not great blood supply there, so the tendon can be weak. And so there's intrinsic factors, meaning within someone's tendon, why might the tendon tear? And that's, intrinsic weakness of that tendon. It's inherently weak in that area where it doesn't have a good blood supply. But if you're somebody who smokes, or you've taken steroids, or certain medications can actually cause or even more weakness to the structure of your tendons. Diabetics, people with vascular disease. So, then there's the extrinsic factors, which are outside of your control. And that's where most of the injuries, I believe, in the NFL are likely more extrinsic factors. But when that tears, you're asking a tendon to heal to itself, because it usually tears a couple centimeters, 3 or 4 centimeters above the heel bone, the calcaneus. So you're literally sewing these two mop ends together, and you're hoping that the blood supply is good and that it can heal well. If you fracture, we saw, can't remember who it was. We've seen a couple really gnarly tibia fractures in basketball recently in the college, and it looks terrible, and people think, oh, that career is over, but that person is back the following year, no problems, because all of the ligaments and all of the muscles are fine. It's just the bone heals very readily, and it heals to be as strong or stronger in most people than it was before it fractured. So
yeah, Kevin Ware is the one that sticks out to you, right? No pun
Alex
intended
Smith,
there.
but Alex had a lot of other issues to go with it.
The studies haven't been done, I'm sure, yet, but you did mention steroids, smoking, cigarettes, ayahuasca, or what was the stuff that Rodgers is,
he was
how does that affect ligaments? I wonder. I don't know. And now the NFLPA is calling for, grass to be installed at all these stadiums instead of the turf, where it did look like Rodgers' front cleat maybe got stuck and snapped a little bit.
That exactly right. That goes under those extrinsic factors of what are the shoes that we're wearing, and what's the turf surface, and are we getting, are we getting stuck? Is it too grippy? That kind of, that's a big issue. And that's something we think about with ACL injuries all the time now. There has been an increase in the past decade or two of Achilles injuries in the NFL compared to the prior 2 decades, so you do have to wonder. I think it probably does play a role for sure.
The Dobbins injury, this is another Achilles. He had
the same leg.
He had a knee injury. I believe it is.
Because I was going to say,
Good
is
question.
there, I mean, you always just kind of think, oh, is it the same leg? Is there any way rehab from an ACL tear could negatively affect other muscles in the same leg and compromise them in any way, shape, or form?
Yeah, the only way that would be a reasonable conclusion is if the strength, the overall strength in that leg, certainly before we return people to play after ACL surgery, we really want to see the strength be full, almost 100% of the other leg. And so it's possible that leg was a little bit weaker. That's one thing. But as far as the overall, strength of the Achilles, that should have no effect by the ACL.
24 years old. Now you've got a running back with a knee injury and an Achilles injury. We know the lifespan of the running back is already too short.
Right.
How concerned are you about an elite athlete like J.K. Dobbins still being able to make the necessary cuts and pick up high-end speed the way he would need?
Yeah, it's definitely a more devastating injury for a running back. Not a lot of running backs have come back. They just don't have that jump to their step, that same power that they had. So sprinters and running backs just have a much lower rate of return.
Jasson Dominguez, Doc, is the other one I wanted to touch on with you here. Aaron Boone did come out this afternoon on a Thursday and say that the star center fielder, 20 years old, is going to get Tommy John surgery next week. It's a UCL tear in his right elbow. And the reason they held him out of the lineup, because I know we've seen position players play with this before, but they took him out of the lineup because that lead elbow as a lefty, it's that right elbow, he just couldn't swing and extend the way he needed to with power. Talk to us about this injury for a position player who's not throwing the way a pitcher would, but needs to throw one, but also hit.
Okay, so this is in his throwing arm, right? Or no?
He hits lefty.
Yeah.
I think it's still his.
Great question.
My guess would be it's still in his throwing arm because it'd be extremely unusual to tear that. Batting, right?
Yeah.
So my hunch is it's his throwing arm, and what's happening now, and this is when we get together, we're always talking about these. People are tearing their these ligaments and these tendons and muscles, and I think we've reached the point in sports here where more and more players are reaching that basically surpassing the maximum strength of a lot of the ligaments, and especially in baseball, that ulnar collateral ligament is really reaching its maximum stress when a pitcher throws almost every throw. So it's no surprise that we see a lot of these injuries in the pitchers. A player like him, a hard throw from the outfield, they're throwing that ball, as hard as a pitcher a lot of times, and they really need accuracy to get to home plate, especially. And so, he will lose some of his control without fixing the collateral ligament. I think his return will be, a little bit easier. It's not as repetitive as a pitcher, so he just needs to, still take him the same amount of time. He'll still be out for the 9 months at least. But I think he has a much better chance of returning to a full level, and shouldn't affect his batting.
Yeah, Boone said 9 to 10 months, which would put us at maybe the All-Star break of next year at best. He does throw with his right arm. Good chance he could come back in DH though before he has to play center field. Correct?
I think so. Yes.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
Last thing, we have a special request from a viewer for Dr. Flik.
Oh. I thought you meant we were going to ask him about Max Scherzer. Yeah.
Oh.
Paul Cayano would like a prediction on the New York Islanders. We're just flipping the script. We're going to hockey.
Yeah.
Paul, if I could tell you what the temperature is going to be tomorrow, I could tell you how the Islanders are going to do, but I have no idea. I will say they are rebuilding, but I never give up on them, as you know, Paul.
Yeah.
I don't think Paul ever does either.
No.
He's a faithful viewer.
I would say you were a hockey player, but you are a hockey player.
That's true.
Recently injured playing hockey too. True?
Yeah, a little bit. It was. It might have been a tennis injury. I'm not sure, but no. I still play Sunday nights with Coach Clark from the Firewolves. He's out there still, and but I'm getting to be one of the oldest guys out there. So
that's all right.
See what happens.
That's all right.
Hey, at least you're not 40 with a torn Achilles trying to play in the NFL, right?
Yeah,
that's correct. That's correct.
Yeah, but the money wouldn't be so bad.
No, you might try. You might be like, what? I'll go through that rehab. Let me give it a shot.
After hours with you, we really appreciate it, man. Now that we've shifted the show to a nighttime slot, we appreciate you doing this live with us to talk about some of the big injuries that are happening. It's been a little while, but I'm glad we reconnected here. Let's stay in touch over the course of the season.
You bet. Thanks, both of you. I appreciate
Thanks,
it.
Doc.
Dr. Kyle Flik with us from OrthoNY Dr. He'll become a little bit of a regular here on the show as we get the expertise of what's happening with some of these injuries. Let me hit some of the comments here that we didn't have a chance to throw up. They weren't exactly tied directly to the injuries, but Sam says, no way, Rodgers. It's funny when I still see A-Rod, and he's been in the news lately because of steroids. I do. I think of Alex Rodriguez. But Sam says he's definitely going to come back and play next year. I think
he's going to try.
Yeah, I don't doubt that.
That's the difference. You try and
thinking
do
about retirement. Yeah. Shout out to Victor, who has been new to the show the last month or so. Look at this.
Love it.
Cancer survivor, 7 years.
Congrats,
tomorrow.
Victor.
So Friday, September 15th.
Celebrate
September 15th is a day that Victor always has circled on his calendar. And Nick says it's a bounce back week. This
guy is never down about anything about his team. His team can be like 0-10. He'd be like, "Who day? We're gonna win the next week." It's unbelievable.
He's got the AL East Division leading Orioles.
And he's a long-suffering fan.
Yes.
How long had you're an Orioles fan and a Bengals fan? There's a lot of suffering that's happened. So I love the positivity.
And he supports this show, which is suffering on its own.
There you go.
Yeah, it's a whole different level of it, I guess.
We're not playoff bound. We're not Super Bowl contenders.
No.
We're just there.
Yeah.
We're meddling.
Yeah, are we rebuilding? We're tanking. I think we're the Cardinals. We're tanking. All right, we're back right after this with our Week 2 picks.
I don't care what kind of stories that's been told on you. That may be a lot of things in life you used to do. If you can't give true love to me, I'll understand. Just do the best you can.
Michelob Ultra, 2.6 carbs and 95 calories.
September is here, which means it's time to take advantage of huge savings on remaining 2023 RVs. It's our September sell-off here at Alpenhaus. Shop with confidence so you can get back to having fun and making memories with family and friends. Come in today and save on America's top brands, like this Coachman Catalina for $162 a month, or this Primetime Avenger for $258 a month. Shop online at alpenhausrv.com or come see us in Amsterdam or Saratoga. Alpenhaus, your total camping outfitter.
And now, back to Onorato and Miller. Sponsored by Alpenhaus. And now, Dirty, Difficult, and Done. Sponsored by Performance Industrial.
Bill Miller's great team at Performance Industrial, and Karen Miller, great team at Performance Industrial, where we always
give
say
props to the wife.
Oh, well, she's more important than he is, and he knows that. But we love having them part of the show here because it allows us to do this segment each and every single week called Dirty, Difficult, Done. There's never a job that's too dirty or too difficult for Bill and his crew to get the job done. Ash, you're up.
All right, my Dirty, Difficult, Done, and I just enjoy saying this. So any opportunity I can get to put 2 in there, I do it, especially Done Dirty, because I think it's awesome. So was Dustin Johnson done dirty?
Was. Okay.
Yeah, it's a question. Was he done dirty by being left off the Ryder Cup team? My answer is no, because I don't feel bad for any of the live golfers who didn't make the Ryder Cup team. Listen, Brooks Koepka made it, so it wasn't necessarily about that. My answer is that he wasn't done dirty. He played golf very well at times this year, but when it mattered most, the guy didn't show up. Tied for 10th was his best performance at a major. Other than that, not great. Like tied for 48th, tied for 55th. Didn't make the cut at the Open Championship. So I'm out. I don't feel bad for him. I don't think he was done dirty. And I think Zach Johnson has every right to pick whoever he wants. That's the beauty of it.
Yeah. I mean, look, I don't, you can qualify for the team, right, on points, or you can be a captain's pick the way Justin Thomas was. And you could argue that JT had a very below average year for his standards and didn't deserve to make this team. But I would still take JT over DJ at this point. And maybe it's because Zach Johnson looked at it and said, non-live guy, live guy. And maybe that is it. I don't know. But if it is, then yeah, correct. That's the way the world works sometimes. Dustin Johnson is saying he was left off because he chose to go play for Live Golf. And that may be the case by the Justin Thomas, Dustin Johnson delineation. I have no idea. But you're right. Really... Dustin didn't earn his way onto the team, and he had the opportunity to do that.
From what I've read, though, he wasn't bitter about it. No. He just said, like, I didn't play well. End of story. I think he ultimately thinks maybe the live thing was the deciding factor, but he didn't seem bitter about it.
All right. Is Taylor Swift's search for love done now thanks to Travis Kelce? Did we find Swifty's sweetheart with Travis Kelce? Who would have ever put these two together?
I don't know.
And now the publicists are not doing a great job here because they're saying they're not officially dating, Ash. They're hanging out.
They're talking.
You're a publicist and you can't do better than an 8th grade characterization of a relationship. We're hanging out.
They're talking.
Come on. They're spending time together.
Netflix,
they've probably had dinner. Whether or not they've spent a night at each other's homes, I don't know. But I would imagine that as grown adults, they could say, yeah, we're dating, right? Dating doesn't mean we're engaged.
Maybe,
you could date somebody for 4 weeks and it's over. That's still dating.
Maybe Travis or Taylor doesn't want to call it dating.
You don't have to be exclusive. You could still be dating. So Kelce shows up at Taylor Swift's Eras tour at Arrowhead Stadium, and he wanted to get in touch with the pop star. And so they did meet, and now they've been hanging out since.
I just don't see it.
Weird, it's
a real weird one.
And it's the weird ones that usually stick. I'll just say it's usually the weird ones that you think have no chance. And then before you know it,
I don't know.
In a year and a half,
the last guy she dated was British, like
Travis is not
skinny, like Travis opposite of Travis Kelce.
Well, this is her first foray into a sport, right? An athlete.
Yeah.
She's never dated an athlete before, correct?
I believe so. I mean, she's gone musician, actor, a lot of that. And then like kind of off the beaten path, not anybody. But the last guy she dated for like 4, 5, 6 years, maybe.
Yeah, I know.
And they just broke up. The Kelce thing is weird because he's just an interesting character to begin with. They don't feel like they jive so much. Yeah, Taylor Swift. Sam, she's the biggest star on the planet. And now she's dating Travis Kelce, who's one of the more, would you say he's one of the more controversial guys in the NFL? I don't know about controversial, but like
he's more
flamboyant, outspoken, like all of that.
Yeah. He's at times annoying. But I would say he's just outspoken. Taylor Swift, biggest star on the planet.
She is. There's no doubt.
Bigger than Beyonce.
Yeah. At the moment. Yeah.
Okay.
She just won 7 VMA awards. Like Beyonce's not still doing that. Like she is a topic of conversation on every morning radio show because of this tour in particular. At the current moment, she's the biggest star on the planet.
There probably aren't many countries where you could walk down the street and find somebody who doesn't know Taylor Swift, right?
Probably.
I mean, you get into some of the third world countries and it's a little more difficult, I'm sure. But you know what I'm talking about.
I think most people know.
I know. That's what I'm saying. It's like a Michael Jackson level. Has to be, right?
At the current moment, I think it's probably more
than Michael Jackson when he was a star.
Because there was no social media. Things were a little different back then. Like I'm sure a lot of people know who Michael Jackson is, but this is 30 years later.
Yeah.
And all the things that have changed, the technology and the internet and all those things help her become who she is.
Okay. All right. Biggest star on the planet. Maybe ever, says Ash.
Well,
maybe ever.
It's going to be close.
All right, our week 2 picks here. How did we do week 1? Ran them down real quick with as we led into Dr. Flik's segment. Here are the records: 3-2, 3-2. We lost the Giants together. I lost the Steelers. Ash lost the
Bills.
Jets. Right. All right, let's get into the picks here. Game 1 this week. Ash, Chiefs at the Jaguars, and it might be the game of the week.
It's going to be good.
Hate that it's a 1 o'clocker. Should be the 4:20 because the 4:25 games stink this week. But they were banking on Aaron Rodgers at the Cowboys.
Right.
Now we don't get that, and so it's not as great of a game. This might be the game of the week. Chiefs, Jags, Kansas City, favored on the road. What do I say about that?
Hammer the home
dog. Jacksonville is really good.
Yeah.
Trevor Lawrence is going to have a huge year. You saw what Calvin Ridley did last week. Give me the Jags here to cover and maybe outright win. I do have Jacksonville getting to the Super Bowl. How stupid is that?
Well, it's not that stupid. It just, I love that we're to the point that we're talking about Jacksonville as like participating in good games. I'm still excited by that prospect. Like 3 years ago, 4 years ago, 10 years ago, we were not. So that's enjoyable to me. Again, you may have convinced me. I think the Jags are really good.
Yeah. I can make the argument for you on Kansas City. Kelsey comes back healthy. Chris Jones signs his contract.
Would I be surprised if the Jags win? No. But I think after you get a really pissed off Chiefs team that lost last week, and you're going to come in, and if those guys come back healthy, yes, I think they're just a better team.
Okay. Game 2 of the week for us here. Bengals and Ravens. Asher up first on this one.
I don't mean to sleep on the Bengals, Nick Matalone. It's not but they looked pretty bad last week, and the Ravens looked really good last week. So the 3.5 for me as a favorite for the Bengals, I'm hammering the dog in the Ravens because I think they can at least cover. But I think maybe they can win.
Yeah, they certainly could. Injuries are playing a major factor here in the way the spread, as bad as Cincinnati played, and some of that's psychological too. Vegas is thinking you've got a Cincinnati team that should win this division, as competitive as it is. They played like you know what last week. They'll play certainly much better this week. So I'm going to give the 3.5 to Baltimore here. They're injured on the road. Give me the Bengals ticked off and ready to play good football this week.
That's my argument for the Chiefs. Yours for the Bengals.
Yeah. Jets and Cowboys. What are we doing?
I don't know,
Zach Wilson, and we're on the Jets here, but that number with
It's
this
big.
defense and the running game is too big for me.
I know, but talk about the Cowboys defense and their running game. Like I'm not sure it's all equal. All parts are equal, but the 9.5 was what did it for me.
Yeah, me too. Look, this Jets defense is not going to give up more than 21 points, maybe all season. That's how good they are. 24 to me is like the ceiling. You're talking about 4 scoring possessions.
Yeah.
I just don't see it. So get me to 13, Zach Wilson. Get me a couple of touchdowns, and
I think that's going to be
we
asking
cover
a lot.
this number.
I think asking Zach Wilson to get 2 touchdowns
cover this number
against the Dallas defense is going to be asking too much.
So that's our long shot of the week, you think?
For the Jets to cover or to win?
Just to cover.
No, okay. I just picked them to cover. I just think asking Zach Wilson to score 2 offensive touchdowns is going to be too much.
Sunday night game on News Channel 13. Dolphins, 2.5-point favorite at the Patriots. New England played Philadelphia really tough last week.
They did.
They had a 2-point conversion that would have made it a field goal game and would have covered the number as well. Oh, by the way, Mac Jones ran it in, but it comes back on a holding penalty. This game, New England played really well last week. The Dolphins are better. And the
Dolphins might give up points, though.
They might, but this is a gift from the scheduling crew at the NFL. Miami going to New England before November. Big deal. The ball's going to fly like crazy. I think Tua has another big game. Tyreek Hill. Maybe it isn't even Hill this time. Maybe they give him help over the top, and it's Jalen Waddle that has the big game. But I still see Miami winning this game and covering.
Yeah, I'd hammer the over in this game. I don't know what the point spread is, but I think just seeing what they did last week offensively, Miami, I would expect them to put up a lot of points against New England. I think they're going to give up a good chunk of points, but even if it's like 35-21, I still think that's a lot of points. You're on the bandwagon.
I guess.
He's not rooting for them over the Packers.
No, of course not. Of course not. The Rockman, this is across the street pub he's
We'll be
talking
there.
about. Great spot right across from you, Albany. All right. Yeah, that's
We'll
Sunday.
be there Sunday.
That's Sunday. Monday night, Browns favored at the Steelers.
You're going back to the well.
What do I say?
Home dog.
Home dog. Pittsburgh is so much better than the way they played last week. At least I believe that 1 week into
Weren't
the
they
season.
a home dog last week?
Of course they were. That
Well,
didn't work out.
I was going to say
That didn't work
your
out.
logic isn't going so well.
And the Browns defense looks legit. It looks legit. But give me Pittsburgh here at home. I have a theme. Teams that are ticked off. Give me mostly the team that's ticked off and see if it can get the job done. I'm up Pittsburgh.
Yeah, I was on the ticked off thing for the Chiefs. I'm not on it for this. I'm solely basing this on the poor performance of the Pittsburgh Steelers in week 1 and the really good performance of the Cleveland Browns in week 1.
Yep.
That's what I'm going with.
Okay.
And that was my logic there.
All right.
Nothing too groundbreaking.
So a picture on, was it Instagram maybe? I think it was Instagram of Deshaun Watson's girlfriend. She was on the sideline of the game, and I thought, somebody's dating him. Okay.
Oh.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Here are the picks. Jags, Bengals, Jets, Dolphins, Steelers for me.
So we've got 2 in common.
Chiefs, Ravens, Jets, Dolphins, Browns.
So
for
somebody
Ash.
will be a game up, right? Well, unless I'll go for whatever. I guess we could still be even.
Well, that'd be pretty ugly. Yeah, let's not root for that, huh?
Well, we can't go over on the same. So yeah, somebody's going to be a game up.
Yeah. All right, more to go here before we say good night and have a great weekend. We got baseball playoffs to talk about here. There is a team that is already in the clubhouse. How about this? 6 straight NL East division titles.
Smoking hot.
Braves won 11 straight NL East division titles back in the 90s to like 2005. That was before they were winning NL West titles before that. So it was 14 straight overall, 11 straight when they moved to the NL East. And they're hot. They're at, as we do this show on a Thursday night, they're 96-50. 106 strikes me as the franchise number in 98. They've got a shot at that.
All right.
They would have to go 10-6 to tie that. And I guess, I'm a little surprised more people, maybe they are, and I'm just not hearing them. I'm a little surprised more people aren't talking about Ronald Acuna Jr. as the best player in baseball. If Mike Trout had ever done what Acuna is doing this year, it would have been, oh my gosh, he's easily the MVP. He's the best player on the planet. Now, part of that is Shohei Ohtani, and that's fine.
Yeah.
But the suggestion that Mookie Betts, who's playing second base, is better than Acuna this year, he pales in comparison in stolen bases. They're right there in home runs together. Acuna has more runs scored than anybody in all of baseball. The average is better. The on-base percentages, I find it hard to believe that Acuna isn't going to be a unanimous MVP. The guy's going to go 40 and 70. Anyway,
incredible.
Braves clinched the NL East, and Matt Olson has a franchise.
He'll win MVP. You got
51 home runs.
3 guys who are going to hit 40 home runs.
Yeah, maybe.
Somebody said 40 or 4 guys.
Olson,
and you were like, nah.
Olson, Riley, and Acuna could get to 40.
Ozzy won't be all that
could
far
get
off.
to 35.
Yeah.
I think he's sitting at 29.
That's
now,
pretty ridiculous.
Wild card race is fun to watch here. You've got 6 teams either in a playoff spot or just a half game back.
Yep.
So that's a race that's fun to watch. We'll see what happens with that one. The division races are not all that thrilling, but here they are anyway. Baltimore and Tampa only separated by a couple of games.
Mm-hmm.
Houston, Texas, and Seattle, 3 teams separated by a game and a half.
All jammed up.
This is a good one. And the NL Central, 4-game split here, Milwaukee and Chicago. Isn't it crazy? Like 16 games to play, 4 feels like it's insurmountable. It isn't, but it feels like it's too much to overcome. Those other 2 divisions, I think, are more in play than the NL Central.
You know what's insurmountable? 8. That's the Yankees number. Yeah, where is it? Go find it.
Here's the Yankees record since I said last week that the path to the playoffs for the Yankees was difficult but not done.
It's done.
They lost game 1 on Thursday of a doubleheader to the Red Sox. Yanks are 3-4.
Done diddly done.
And actually, they've dropped 2 games in the wild card standing since I made that statement. Yes, they are. And now no Martian. Why do they call him Martian? No Jasson Dominguez now. Enough, people. I mean, we can't.
You gotta. That's obvious, right?
Yeah, guy played like 8 games.
Well, he had the nickname Martian a long time ago.
No, I actually didn't know that.
I'm pretty sure he's had it for years.
Okay. Oh, I kind of like this from Adam. Maybe it's explaining it a little bit. Acuna just not in LA or New York, so not getting the same level of love. Huh.
Yeah.
Okay.
But the Braves are the Braves. Like, I don't know. It just
they were America's team at one time.
Ooh. Boy.
Well, what, back when they were on TBS?
No, I mean,
Sam. I'm not going to win the World Series. I wonder who Sam's pick for the World Series. I don't know. Adam is keeping tabs on Colorado, and we'll do that here in the last couple of minutes we have here.
This is so good.
Now,
it's all so good.
Jay Norvell, who's the head coach at Colorado State, a team
is that Mike's brother?
No, it isn't actually. A team that has not beaten a ranked opponent on the road since 98.
Oh, okay.
Haven't beaten Colorado in a number of years as well. They actually haven't played since 2019, which I thought was interesting. But he says, when I talk to grown-ups, I take my hat and my glasses off. That's what my mother... Now, don't bring mom into this, right? That's what my mother taught me. Dion wears a hat and he wears his sunglasses at all times. And Jay Norvell was just kind of like, okay, enough with the act, dude. But why? Why? And he did say some really nice things about the Colorado program. Deion Sanders getting the head coaching job.
But again, this is what people take away from it.
Because the other quotes are much deeper in the article. The kids, the players at Colorado will see this and they'll come out all fired up and blow out Colorado
Deion
State.
Doesn't care. And that's the thing. Like, you're going to say that and then you're going to get beat by 30. So good luck. Yeah. Like, and haven't you learned from Matt Rule, who already opened his mouth about Deion Sanders? And my thing is, Deion is different. Like, I don't like the fact that he wears his hat and sunglasses everywhere either. But this is a guy who, in his college and NFL days, did very similar stuff, was known as Prime Time. He's known as Coach Prime. What do you expect from a guy who has his whole life has been flash and loud and fancy and all that stuff, and now he's still doing it like that? That's what you get with Coach Prime.
He's cool.
I love it.
Yeah, he can pull it off because he's cool.
The Ducks.
Yeah,
I think their first loss will be at USC, but I wouldn't be surprised if the Ducks get them.
And this is what so we're asking: like, can they really contend here? Colorado State, that's a win at Oregon, and then home against USC. So you think they beat Oregon?
I think they have a chance. I think they have a chance.
In Eugene. Interesting. Yeah, maybe. I mean,
it'll be a barometer game. If they win that game, the ratings for Colorado USC are going to be exorbitant. It's going to be awesome.
I mean, look, College Game Day is already going to Boulder this week for Colorado State.
That's stupid. Why not save it? Because now you can't go to a game like Colorado Oregon or Colorado USC.
Why not? Why can't you?
You can, but they won't. I think that's kind of the difference. I save it. I would say don't go to, and then go 2 weeks from now. Like, really hype it up. You know what I mean? Let the drama build and
they'll hype it.
Let it all build.
What do we miss this week?
Probably a lot.
Feels like there was a lot
Max Scherzer
going on in the show here, and did we get to all of it? I don't know. But that's kind of the beauty of this. We do it every week because you know what? Did we miss something? I guess we'll come back and talk about it next week. Enjoy the weekend, everybody. Enjoy the football.